We're on the last chapter of Ivy and Bean, the first book, and it's called No Dessert. If you remember in the last chapter, Bean threw worms at Nancy because she was making fun of Ivy, and it ended up that Nancy slipped in the muddy pit and was dancing like the spell said it would. No dessert, said Bean. No videos for a week, but at least they didn't make me stay in my room. Ivy was sitting next to Bean on her front porch. It was almost dark. They watched the bugs flying around the streetlight. I don't think they're really mad, said Ivy. You don't? They had seemed pretty mad to Bean. They have to act mad so it'll seem fair to your sister, Ivy said, but your mom had this little teeny smile on her face when she pulled Nancy out of the pit. She thought it was funny. I don't think Nancy thought it was funny that she was muddy. Bean smiled too, remembering it was funny. It was great. Nancy says she's never going to speak to either of us again, and she took back the coloring book she gave me. Well, she never spoke to me before today, so that won't make any difference to me. It'll be better for me, but I bet she doesn't stick to it. Bean yawned. It had been a big day. She turned to Ivy. Do you think the spell is what made her dance? Of course, Ivy sounded very sure. But after a minute she said, I didn't have time to say the spell really. I just sort of thought it at the last second. Bean stared into the shadowy yard. Maybe that's why she didn't dance for very long, because you only thought the spell instead of saying it. Next time I'll say it. You're going to do it again on who? Bean asked. I was thinking about that Mrs. Trance, said Ivy. Bean pictured Mrs. Trance kicking up her feet at the edge of a muddy pit. It would be a beautiful sight. Can you teach me to burp like that? Asked Bean. Sure, said Ivy. Maybe I'll try something new on Mrs. Trance, like a storm of grasshoppers. Is that a hard one? No, but we have to start with a lot of grasshoppers, said Ivy. There's Mrs. Trance and their imagination. It seems like all the spells have bugs in them, said Bean. Not all of them, said Ivy. Potions don't. Potions, that sounded fun. Let's make a potion, Bean said. Okay, said Ivy. Tomorrow we'll make potions. I know what, said Bean. Tomorrow we'll fix up a lab in your room. Then we'll make potions. She pictured a lab with shelves full of little bottles. She and Ivy would wear goggles. Ivy sat up straighter. Yeah, that'll be good. We'll dump the dressing room and get some shelves. Shelves with little bottles, maybe a counter. Bean? Bean's mother came out of the front porch. There you are. It's almost bath time. Ivy, do you want me to walk you home? Okay, said Ivy. But Bean's mom sat down beside the girls and looked at the nighttime sky. You girls have certainly had a big day, haven't you? Bean leaned against her mother's arm. Tomorrow we're going to make a lab in Ivy's room. You are you? Said Bean's mom. What for? Potions, said Ivy. What kind of potions? Asked Bean's mom. Secret potions, said Ivy. There was a silence. Then Bean's mom said, no matches, no poison, no explosions, no deadly fumes, no bugging Nancy. Is that clear? Ivy and Bean looked at each other and rolled their eyes. Weren't you the one who was always telling me to play with her? Said Bean. Wasn't this all your idea in the first place? Bean's mother smiled at them in the dark. The light on Ivy's porch came on, and Ivy's mom stepped out the door. She waved across the street. Time to come in, honey. Down the street and across the circle she came in the moonlight. Ivy stood up. So did Bean. See you tomorrow. See you tomorrow. And the day after that, Bean added in her mind. Ivy, holding her mother's hand in the middle of the street, turned around to look at Bean. And the day after that, she said. And that was the end of Ivy and Bean in the first book.